specifically. Yeah. All right. Now we're kicking off. Now we're flying. Yeah. I don't want to say it's the worst day because I had fun last night, but
In this moment, in this present state, it's the
in this
worst.
moment and over the course of the next 4 hours, likely it's gonna be
But well,
it's not gonna be as enjoyable. I'll put it that
you
way.
you missed a fun Friday with me yesterday.
Yeah, what'd you do? Absolutely nothing. I was gonna ask you, are you drinking coffee?
Yeah,
Are you really?
yeah.
I thought you were off of that.
No, I started up when I had a third baby or another child.
Mm, hey,
Cheers.
unique product placement.
Yeah.
Oh
I uh
boy.
I um I managed to take Kale to his papa's last night
Oh, Kale's
for
at dad's.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
And what should have been an easy trip of driving there and then getting Dad Canes because, as he put, back to Dad. I feel like there should always be a segment about Dad.
Oh my God. Dude, if people didn't laugh at the last one, I got nothing for you. You just never laugh at anything in your life.
I said I'll be dropping off Kale a little bit earlier if that's okay. Probably be there at 5:15. He goes, "Sure. What are you doing about dinner?" Statement, not question.
Yeah, never a question mark. No
I said
punctuation, but let's be clear. Dad never has punctuation.
I said getting him dinner on the way for him. What are you doing? Statement, not question. I said, I guess I'm coming back this way, lol. He goes, what is he getting? Which was also a statement, not a question. And I said, I don't know yet. Why, Dad? Can you bring me also, depending on he gets? And then I wait 15 minutes because at this point I'm just irritated. And I say, yeah. Keep in mind, he just said, can you bring me also, depending on he gets? Now, as a
This is already hurting my head.
as a person that clearly is learning English at the age of, well, in their latter years, which is very challenging. It was a very fragmented sentence, but I think I got the gist of what he was saying. But I waited 15 minutes, so keep in mind he said, "Can you bring me also depending on he gets?" And I responded 15
Makes
minutes
total
saying,
sense, right?
"Yeah." And then he goes, "You know what?" He didn't even say that, but this is what he said. "How about Canes?" Also statement, not question. I waited another 15 minutes going, Ugh, he's driving me crazy already. And I said, sure. And he'll go, I'll have 3-piece meal, pay for mine. And he didn't pay for his. But here's the point in
Maybe he
this.
was telling you to pay for his.
He can't just ask.
Well, one, I think the barrier and challenge he has just in communicating via text makes dad's thoughts that much more difficult. That's
Now,
that's number one,
now
right?
there's a reason there were some gaps in time. One, I was annoyed, but there was another factor at play. A wild card, if you will. A Hail Mary of bullshit that happened to appear on the drive there right before transitioning from 275 to I 75
Okay.
north. I'm sitting in the truck, I'm driving. Traffic's bad, it's near rush hour. Kale sitting in the back seat, playing on his tablet, wearing a heavy jacket. It was chilly yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that he was warm while traveling from the house to the truck. He
Nice.
left his jacket on and decided, hey, I know it's a long drive. How about I play a little game or two on my tablet?
Mm-hmm.
I obliged and said, yeah, that's fine. Enjoy yourself. Well, about at that point, between 275 and I 75 North, he immediately says to me, Daddy, I'm getting hot. And I said, huh, okay, well, I'll turn off the heat. Will that work? Yes, he says. He then proceeds to tell me about 30 seconds later, as he's sitting up through his booster seat, peering over the edge of my front seat. I can see him basically in my view of the center back mirror. He goes, "Daddy, I'm going to throw up." At that point,
Oh boy.
I grab the closest thing that I could think of in a frantic, not knowing what I could find in my SUV while driving in traffic, trying to transition between 275 and I-75 North. I find a book bag, an unused book bag that managed to be still lingering somewhere in my SUV in the middle aisle row of my truck. It was red. It was designed like a fox. It was clearly Elena's old bag she gave me as a present. Not knowing what else I could find, I decided in that moment of pure panic and rush to make a split-second decision. I grabbed for Elena's bag and immediately handed it to Kale with the top unzipped. Thankfully, it was unzipped already, making this a little bit easier. However, as I proceed to hand the bag back to Kale so he can throw up in a book bag designed as a cute red fox, a gift to me from Elena, Kale then begins to vomit all over my hand and not wait for my hand to remove itself safely from the confines of the open book bag. At that point, instinctually, Kale then proceeds to hold the book bag and continue to vomit into it his spaghetti and meatballs he had for lunch that day, while I frantically pull my hand away from the bag in a almost like sprinkler like system, fling vomit all through the front of my front seat, all over the dash, my stereo, leather seats. At this point, the car is beginning to smell. Clearly, we're talking about food that had a chance to get intimate and ferment inside my son's belly for probably at least a few hours. I also don't know what to do while he sits there covered in his own vomit, because clearly he could not make it into a giant open bag all the way. So it's on him. It's in the bag. It's on his tablet. I've got vomit slung in the front seat of my SUV. The windows go down. It reeks. And I try to find the nearest rest stop, which was about 5 miles north of where we currently were. So we go there, and on the drive there, I'm literally doing this with my hand. It's covered in vomit. It's already starting to dry, and I'm driving while vomit is just caked on my fucking hand. I find in my front dash, I remember, aha, Chris, I remember something. In my front dash, where I would normally keep my registration papers for if I were pulled over by a police officer, I remembered I put Maguire's leather seat wipes in there. So I, with my pinky pukey finger, I open up the dash drawer and proceed to pull out the Maguire's leather wipes while basically spritzing my registration papers with Kale's vomit. Pull that out, and I basically took out wipes and wiped my hand down with leather wipes, which now really didn't do a whole lot other than smell like leather wipes and vomit. It really didn't do much outside of maybe physically or visibly remove the vomit from my hand. So I'm still driving like this, hands now sticky because of the leather wipes and still smells like vomit. Go to the rest stop. We pull over. People are, basically strapping down their mattresses that might have come loose in the back of their trucks, or families stopping for a quick break because the little child has to pee. And here I am cleaning off Kale and all the vomit on him and forcing him to basically throw away everything you see vomit on and then go into the rest stop and wash our hands. It was an experience. It was one that in the moment I'm surprised I didn't snap, but I held it together. Kale didn't freak out too much. But that's what happened while Dad was going in his I don't know what I want. What you doing? This whole bullshit thing he does. This is all happening while he's basically unable to answer or ask a simple fucking question of, can you bring me food?
Yeah, sounds about right. Did you know that a mystery animal in a tree turned out to be a croissant?
Like a squirrel?
It's a real thing, happened in Poland. Let's rewind back to let me get a better understanding of the situation, which, by the way, Kale pukes like his uncle. It's clearly genetic at this point.
Could be.
I'm the worst. If you hand me an open bag, I'm going to miss it every time. I did this one time years ago. Just pretend my mask is a bag. Say the bag is closed. It was already anticipated that on my drive home from said place that I was going to throw up. And I was equipped when I left this person's house with a wonderful, brand new Kroger's bag. Perfect bag to puke in. And I was holding the Kroger bag in my hands, kind of bunched up like this. Now, I was drunk, so I'm not like holding it open like this, like a pouch. It's close, it's like balled up in my hands. And similar to Kale's feelings, I started to get hot. And then I went, uh-oh. Kroger bag rolled up in my hands.
Oh, no, you crinkled it up.
So in the panic of the moment, my brain is trying to tell my hands to open this bag, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I just threw up in my hands like this, all over my dash, all over my seat, inside my vents. I mean, it went projectile all over myself, all over my feet, my legs. You remember this experience?
I do remember this one.
You had to help clean me up like a hospital nurse.
Yeah, basically. While you're shivering.
So that's why it happened, is because I couldn't get the bag open. If I was able to make it in the bag, all would have been well. Couldn't make it in the bag. That was a rough night.
Yikes.
Yeah. So Kale definitely pukes like me. It's kind of one of those things where I feel like when it hits, and sorry, you ain't gonna make it in the bag. It's just not gonna happen.
I mean, he didn't even give me a second to pull my hand away.
Yeah, that sucks too, because it's kind of gross, right? It's pretty gnarly. Like when, like, it's one thing for when it's your puke, but when it's someone else's puke, even your son, like that's pretty putrid. That's pretty disgusting. That's hard to. Man, I don't even like my own puke on me. I can imagine someone else's. Hey, remember I had to clean up your puke? That was fun.
Yeah.
Your puke looked like a fucking digested squirrel came out of your body.
It had so much stuff in it, man.
I'll never forget posting that picture on Instagram. It was probably the one thing I've posted in a story that probably got like hundreds of responses, like literally hundreds. Probably the only thing I've ever posted that was just like this incredible mystery, and everybody wanted to try to solve it. I mean, so many people are like, well, it's got to be this, it's got to be this. And I'm like, And like when I finally said what it was like this big reveal, and people are like, oh, what the fuck? I think people wanted it to be worse. Like they thought it was like, so many people said like Taco Bell, like different things like that, right? Like whatever.
Dead animals.
A lot of people were like, is that like, what's that green stuff in there? You know what I mean? So yeah, it was just like your undigested beef and
It was sous
broccoli and
vide.
sous
Sous vide.
vide. Yeah, it was that was pretty nasty. You know, it's like since then I'm trying to remember if I've thrown up since that. I don't know that I've actually thrown up since I threw up in my mouth a little bit of hockey last week, but I don't think that counts.
No.
And I just swallowed it again. He's actually talking to somebody on my team. And it's just one of those things like every once in a while when you get like, you know, it's just like something's caught in here, like air's caught in here. And I was drinking my water. I'd just come off the rink and I'm drinking my water and I'm sitting down and my water, it already had like, I put like BCAs in it and some other stuff. And I'm drinking it. And then it was like whatever was in that pocket finally just erupted. It kind of burst. So it forced everything back up. And I'm in mid sentence talking to a teammate and I was just like, yeah, like, are you all right? And I was like, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. It's cool. I just swallowed it. We're fine. Like, what? Yeah, it was like one of those things.
I hear that.
But I don't think that counts. I'll tell you what I do like. I like drinking coffee during a podcast. That's nice. I haven't done that in a while.
It's kind of nice. Yeah, it's early. Saturday morning.
I really do love that I can just the simple product placement. This Yeti is dope though.
It's like the perfect like single cup or two cupper.
Dude, it's big. It's actually really big. It's the same ounce size as the big ones. It's like it's really wide.
Wider?
Like it's very big. Yeah, look at that thing. Anyway, so it's our 4-year anniversary was yesterday. We're recording this on Saturday. So Friday the 16th was actually technically our 4-year anniversary, which is really weird thinking about. It's really weird thinking that we've done this for 4 years. You know what I mean? Like it seems strange. It seems strange in the sense that it's like, how could it go on this long? How could we manage to make this go on this long?
Yeah, I didn't even get you anything for our anniversary.
Nope, I didn't get you anything either.
Huh.
Other than my presence on this slightly chilly Saturday morning. Yeah. So I was thinking about it too, because I knew I thought it was the 14th, but excuse me. I thought it was the 14th. So I looked it up and I just went all through our recordings, right? And see what our first post date was. And I'm going through it and I'm like scrolling down. And I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, it was April 16th. We recorded our first episode on the 15th. We posted our first episode on the 16th. So it was cool just to be like going all the way through. And then as I'm going through and I see these different episodes that I completely forgot about, that I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. I remember doing that episode. I remember doing that. It was like this time warp, like back, you know what I mean? Back 4 years, like when we started doing this. And now I was thinking like, oh, we used to do the podcast in my old office and we used to do the podcast here and we've done podcasts here and we've done podcasts like this and like upgrades and equipment, like all that stuff. And I was just like, that's so wild to think about like 4 years ago is when we started this, which statistically podcasts don't make it past 13 episodes. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Really? 13?
13 is the average. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because people give up. You know why? Because everybody wants that quick result. So this is the one thing that I always dedicated. And I know you're the same way. When you do a podcast, you do it because you love doing it, right? There's like a passion play around it. And that's why one thing, which by the way, I'll go on a little rant real quick. One thing that really fucking annoys me about podcasts now is everyone's got one. And that it does. I don't mean that everybody shouldn't start a podcast, but you should start something that's meaningful. There's too many podcasts of people just doing nothing and ranting about shit. It's not connected to anything. It's just, you're just talking. And it's like, well, if you don't have even a moniker of fucking creative content, people aren't going to want to listen. You're going to do anything. You're just creating this, you know, we've already got, what is there, 7 million podcasts, I think have been published. So you've got all these podcasts that have like been put onto iTunes and Spotify and it's kind of clogging everything up. And there's too many out there that are just fucking people rambling about nothing. Now we ramble about nothing in the first part of our episodes. Think about it, a roller coaster, right? This is how we get up the hill. And then we go down the ride, right? but it's always been intentional. It's always been focused and all that. There's just too much fucking shit out there. Anyway, let me rewind back to why most podcasts fail. Most podcasts fail statistically because people are wanting certain outcomes in terms of listenership early on in their podcast. Man, I record 5 episodes. I should at least have hundreds of people listening to me, which is rarely the fucking case. And now it's even harder because you as a consumer, you can only put so much time and attention into podcasts. Like I have, this is like a little secret for everyone. I've been listening to podcasts, obviously, before I've been recording them. I don't listen to any other cigar podcast at this point. I don't. Like the only one that I may listen to is TLE. And it's not because it's not good content. I'll listen to it every once in a while, but like I don't consume my time listening to cigar podcasts. And that's mostly because I record a cigar podcast. I only have so much time I can listen to podcasts. So I want to listen to comedians. That's like, I'm listening to podcasts about investments and finances. Like there's certain things that I want to listen to, and I'm not going to dedicate an hour of my day listening to a cigar podcast. So mostly what I listen to is stuff that interests me. Right. But my point is, and kind of connecting those two things, is that you listen to things that have content that makes sense for you. So when people are just rambling about nothing, you create this podcast that's like meaningless, you're not going to get the attention that you want. And if you're not getting the attention you want, you usually kill your podcast. Again, 13 episodes is the average. So that's why most of them fail, is everybody has these lofty expectations around listenership and audience. And it's like, well, it doesn't come because you're not putting anything out there that makes sense. And that can, like, people can attach to. Like people don't go Google a podcast. It's like, I want to listen to a podcast about rambling. No, it's like people have specific interests, right? There's specific things that you're looking for. There's specific things that you want to digest in terms of content. And it's not listening to a bunch of jackasses sitting around a table doing nothing. Yeah. It's just meaningless.
Yeah, that's very true. You'd have to be really funny to ramble about nothing.
You got to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Comedians' podcasts are rambling about nothing. And even then they're pretty structured, but they're funny. That's why you listen to them, because you can laugh. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to create a podcast now, I feel like you have to be super intentional about, like, it's got to have some sort of focus. Like I've always thought about, like, I would love to do like 3 podcasts would be like my optimal number. This one and like 2 others. But I would want to make sure whatever else I did was something that I know I could focus on. You know what I mean? Like it's something that I could put out that I know will capture some attention, something that I love that is going to be relevant to other people, not just like sitting here going like talking about, I mean, there's so many out there views, like people talking about nothing. And I'll end this rant in a moment. Everybody thinks they can talk behind a microphone, and very few people can talk behind a microphone. So when I hear a lot of people, because I know people are encouraged to do podcasting, everyone's like, oh, it's so easy. You can just plug a microphone into your iPhone and you can begin recording. It's that easy, and use this platform, and it's free, and it's that easy. Okay, subscribe to all these directories. It's that easy. The setup process has become much easier than it was 4 years ago when we started. Like to set up a podcast and get it to directories is literally the easiest thing in the world. But then people actually think that they're right to communicate in that platform. And I've heard people who are famous, people who have, let's say, I mean, even celebrity types, where it's like they'll start and it's unbearable to listen to, because the difference between them being authentic and behind a microphone and being able to talk and articulate is totally different than what they do when maybe they're acting or behind a camera or doing these other things. It's completely fucking different. And so it's like all those podcasts, I'm like, this isn't meant for you. And maybe it's not meant for us. Maybe what I'm saying, I'm just saying, you know, psychologically thinking about myself. Like,
I would
why do you do this, Corey?
If fucking Christopher Walken would do a fucking podcast.
That would be dope.
And hearing him ramble,
and he would just ramble, but
his voice. This is my podcast, and if you listen, perhaps you'll learn something special. But I just imagine him, because he can be soft spoken, but it's always like, Yeah, and like I feel like listening to him all day would be
It would be awesome.
very entertaining.
It would be awesome. Like, it's like it's weird because I think about like people I wouldn't want to listen to.
Yeah.
Like I would never want to listen to like Matthew McConaughey on a podcast.
No.
Just be pretty, be a little shredded, do cool movies. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Stay in your fucking lane.
Here's who also would not be a good podcaster, and it's gonna seem so counterproductive.
No, let's go through this. Let's go through this list of who wouldn't be good at podcasting.
Morgan Freeman. Why?
Because he sounds like a constant narration.
He does, and I feel like he would be best served in the ASMR community
Oh, why? Because his
because
soft
he's
voice.
so soft spoken. The man could put you to sleep if he just talked in his very calm tone. Like he could put you to sleep. Like he needs to be a voice on like Headspace or some like go to sleep bedtime routine.
Right.
Not speaking about like everyday life on a podcast. Like for sure. I don't think
Yeah.
podcasting's right for Morgan Freeman. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. It'll like lull you to sleep. Um, who else wouldn't be good on a podcast? Who would be celebrity? I think Keanu Reeves would be cool on a podcast.
Yeah.
I think he would be very interesting.
I think Charlie Sheen could pull it off.
Oh, dude, that would go off the rails though. That's what the podcast should be called, Off the Rails. That's because that's or Tiger Blood. Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah.
But you have Tiger Belly, so maybe you don't want to do that. Reasons why you shouldn't start a podcast. The number one reason why you shouldn't start a podcast is you're fascinated by the outcome, but don't want to do what's involved to get the podcast up and running. Sounds about right.
Hey.
Who else would be terrible at a podcast, celebrity wise?
Hey, people, when you were little and you said to your mommy and daddy, I want to be a pro football player one day. They're like, well, you're going to have to practice real hard and you're going to have to work for it starting right now in Pee Wee, age 6. Don't you understand? There's millions of people that play football, but it's going to take you from playing since you were Pee Wee all the way up through middle school or elementary, middle school, and high school and college to even get at the level that you're going to be a pro football player. And even then you might not make it.
Yep.
It's a long journey, folks.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of consistency. I don't know why we're talking about this, but all right. Out of these celebrities, Chris, let's see if you agree or disagree with me in terms of who would be bad and who would be good at podcasting.
Okay.
I'm going to cite the first person, Brad Pitt, good or bad at podcasting?
Bad.
Yeah, I would agree. Jennifer Aniston.
Bad.
I think good. I think she'd be good.
Why do you think she'd be good?
Because she's got that natural playful tone. And
Okay.
I think she's wise, mature, understands a lot, has a lot of experiences, articulates well, and she just got that kind of goofy, funny demeanor about her. I think that would translate well in a podcast. What about Kim Kardashian?
Ugh. I could see her doing well just because of the nature of her, but I would really struggle with listening to her voice.
Yeah, totally agree. I would not be down for that. Robert Downey Jr.
Amazing. I think he'd be a great podcast. He's got such an interesting story. And like I feel like he's more he feels more genuine to me
Yeah.
than most folks. He seems more real
Yeah.
in the Hollywood community. Dude could talk about a lot that I would be interested in.
I would definitely listen to one of his podcasts for sure. Yeah. Chris Hemsworth.
Bad. And I know his podcast would probably be about workouts. Because like he has
let's add that element to it. Celebrities who could podcast, what would they podcast about? So Chris Hemsworth, you think would be all centric around workout,
health and fitness, yeah.
He's pretty funny though. So I think
is funny.
if he did start one, I would be intrigued a little
Yeah.
bit about what he starts because he is very funny. Angelina Jolie.
Oh
What
man.
would she podcast about and would it be good?
I think she'd podcast about humanitarian efforts
Mm,
and it'd be boring as fuck.
I think she would be horrible to listen to. She
Yeah.
seems like the kind of person that if she was talking about on a microphone, she would pause a lot.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that silence that you just heard, it would be just like that.
But the breaks that she takes in between talking, you'd be adjusting your volume or looking at your phone to see
Yeah,
if
like
the
is she
fucking
still on?
the podcast stopped.
For sure. Tom Hanks.
Oh man, this is tricky. Um, I think
I do love a good Tom Hanks.
I do love a good Tom Hanks, and he's got an interesting voice. Uh, I struggle with trying to find an arena for him that would be like, yeah, I'd want to hear Tom Hanks talk
Talk
about
about yeah,
this.
right, right. Yeah, like what's he gonna talk about?
I just don't know what he would talk about.
I think guys like that who have had so much experience in Hollywood and the celebrity life for over an extended period of time could probably make it centric to those things. Like, here's what experiences in the film industry are like over, however many 30,
Yeah.
40 years that he's been doing it. I think he could probably do something like that really well. Tell the tale of Hollywood, the deep, dark secrets.
Ooh, maybe that'd be very counter to his personality type too.
I totally agree, but it would be cool if he did it. What about Will Smith? Big
You
Will.
know, no.
Yeah,
Uh, and the
agreed.
only reason I say that, I think he's very well spoken. He's got a lot of energy. Um, I don't know what he would also talk about,
Right.
and he seems to like doing Instagram posts and TikTok posts more.
I think with like Will Smith, everything would be so produced and manufactured, right? Like the a lot the biggest attention around, and at least in my opinion, intentionality around podcasts is to be like very candid and open. And so many podcasts now, you can't even call them podcasts. Like they're so overproduced, right? It just turned into like radio essentially.
Yeah.
Like you're pre-recording, this content or these things going into it, right? I feel like his would be something like that. It would be so overly manufactured that the authenticity of it would be diluted to a pretty high degree, I think.
Yeah.
Just my
I could
thought.
see that. Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Um, I think if he did role play, um, with small scripts with other writers and actors on a podcast, I'd
Dude,
be totally game.
that would be sweet. I would
I'd
watch
be
that.
I'd be totally game for that.
It would be fucking sweet. That's
Yeah.
definitely what he would probably do too. And
Yeah.
he's so goddamn good and so funny. I would listen to him. Oh, I would listen to any podcast he does. I think whatever he did, if he did something like that, would be incredible. That would be so fucking good. Mila Kunis.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think she would. I like Mila Kunis a lot, but I think I would be like, what would you talk about?
Mom life, maybe.
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher. Who cares? I like Ashton Kutcher, but who cares, right? What about
Yeah.
this one? The Rock.
Oh,
What would he talk about? What would his podcast be about? And would you listen?
I think motivational and life habit, like like good life hacks.
Yeah, that's why I said I would never listen to Matthew McConaughey for the same reason.
Yeah. I think The Rock would do the same. Um, yeah, I think you'd be like motivational lifestyle.
Yeah,
It would be like my thinking.
yeah,
And I probably would not listen. There's a
yeah.
lot of
I could
there's a
not listen to him.
there's a lot of things that I already listened to that's like around lifestyle and mental health and all these things. But I get my source from scientists.
From professionals, not the
Yeah.
fucking Rock.
Yeah, I get my source from professionals because if I can understand the science behind it, I'm more apt to figure out solutions around it
Right.
versus someone telling me, you could do it. You just got to put your mind to it.
Yeah, and the other frustrating thing too is like how many times can you retell that story? Like I feel like at least twice a week he's posting something on Instagram
I
or
had $2.
yeah, it's $7 in my pocket,
Yeah.
and this
Which,
is what I
granted,
did. Like he made a
um,
whole show about it. Like what?
amazing story. Do not
Of
get me wrong.
course it is. It's such an amazing story,
But
but
now it's been marketed.
right, how can you continue regurgitating that story? It's been marketing. His production company is called $7 Production.
Yeah.
And he literally just released a TV show called Young Rock. Like it's the
Yeah.
story's played out. Be over. Like it's done. Fucking do on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Two more. David Hasselhoff.
If it's about his drug life, totally in.
I would want to listen to a David Hasselhoff podcast when he's inebriated, not when he's
Yes.
sober.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, last one. This is a good one. Ready?
And I'd want part of it to be in German.
That would be sweet. Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Although he doesn't, isn't it weird how like the depiction of like German, the way Germans sound is always kind of that like high pitch, like hey. But
Yeah.
David Hasselhoff is kind of like a burly, low tone guy
Yeah.
who is German, partially. Anyway, last one. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Donnie Trump.
Donald Trump. I know it'd be a fan favorite for a lot of people, but I don't think that I could listen. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do it. If he
I could
did,
do it just because it's him.
I think if it was like 5-minute episodes, I could stomach it.
Here's the thing. Now I'm gonna ask. First of all, what would it be about?
Total ranting.
It's 100% rant, right? Like
Yeah.
it would be. There's no bumpers. There's nothing. It's just off. Just everything's just firing.
Yeah.
Like one thought comes in, boom, says it. Another thought comes in, boom, says it. None of them are interrelated at all.
Yeah.
They're completely separate thoughts. Totally agree. But it'd be entertaining as fuck. And here's what this would be my belief around Donald Trump podcasting. You have 70 million people that voted for him. You have 70 million people that voted against him. But I bet out of that 140 million, about 75% of the total would listen to that podcast.
Yeah.
Meaning that if you didn't vote for him, you're still listening. Period. You would. You would have to. You would have to. I'm surprised he hasn't started a podcast because I feel like he's just bored to tears now because he can't be on social media. It's like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you spend an hour and a day getting?
Oh my God.
Out?
What would one do without social media?
Think about it.
Especially him. Think about the ego, right? And the desire to be heard. And then that's just
I'm shocked he has not done it. I'm shocked.
It's just stripped away from you.
Yeah, like in an instant from every platform. Just like, oh, see you later, Gator. Like they just cut it. All right. Enough talking about this. God damn it. What are we even doing right now? I don't even know where I'm at. Oh, we have a cigar review today. Isn't that special? Isn't that special? We do have a cigar review, which I'm pretty stoked about. I will say this cigar has been on the market for all about a hot 2 days. I was excited to smoke this cigar because I kind of remember smoking it, or at least the original back in like 2016, 2017. And then that was the last time I had it. And then cigar brain goes away, cigar goes away, reintroduction in 2020. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the Baracoa Cigar Company, the Voyage. So we had Danny Vasquez, who is the owner of Baracoa, former sales representative at Roma Craft. He restarted a company, an organization that he started back in 2016. Baracoa, as Chris calls it, Barbacoa Cigar Company. And the popular cigar which came out at that time was the Voyage. Now a reintroduction of the Voyage in 2021. When I say these things have like barely hit shelves, they've barely hit shelves. Like just started last week, so this is fucking fresh, like freshy, fresh. I would venture to say that in terms of platforms and reviews, will probably likely be the first one to put this out. So that being said, before we get into the stats of the cigar itself, Chris, how do we break these bad boys down?
Sure. Each cigar review starts with three main categories: construction, burn, and flavor. We then see if the cigar is worth the price for a possible bonus or deduction. And then finally, we average out our individual reviews, giving you guys our total score and recommendation.
Thanks, Cotton.
You're welcome.
So, with that being said, let's go over the stats of the cigar real quick. Wrapper, Corojo wrapper, Sumatran binder, and a combination of Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers. We smoked this in a Corona 5x46. Love the fucking Vitola, by the way. God, I love a good Corona. I don't smoke enough of them. You know, I don't buy enough of them, and I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. This comes in. I had to text Danny because I didn't know what the price point is. Comes in at an $8.30 price point. So very, I would say for the size, it's sitting right at I would say a pretty good industry average. All right, let's get into the cigar itself. The Voyage, released here in 2021, brand new to the marketplace. Chris, what do you think about the construction of the cigar?
Looks identical to the Charter Oak Maduro.
Well, this looks more like the Charter Oak Habano, but good fucking call.
I'm just kidding.
The best part is people calling you out on that, which is hilarious.
I know. Mildly firm cigar. What was cool is it's kind of a caramely color, with a slight graininess and grit to it, but also still maintaining some type of sheen from the oiliness of the wrapper.
Is it Charlie or Martin?
Yeah. And great cap structure. All in all, you know, I like the band. Now, we had some pre-release bands and we had some actual bands. I wanted to smoke the actual band. Not smoke it, but smoke the one with the band. And it's a good looking cigar, man. It's a good combination of colors. It is a really well constructed cigar. I have no gripes with the construction at all.
As I've already said, I love the Vitola, so that's number one. I think it seems to be pretty, I would say, much easier to construct a Corona size Vitola. So not only is it a desirable Vitola from a smoking experience, I think it's just in production alone is probably, I'd say besides the Robusto, it's probably one of the, and someone corrects me if I'm wrong, seems to be easier because you're playing with less tobacco. But then I would argue like a Lancero would probably suck, or anything thinner would suck, right? But I think that's a good size from a production perspective. It is that medium brown color. It was, to me, is a very smooth cigar. I agree with you in terms of like had a nice sheen to it, a little bit of a gloss, just in like reflection of light. So a little bit of oil expression, but not anything too crazy. I thought the construction overall was pretty flawless. It's great.
Yeah.
On her maiden voyage, Chris, what did you think about the burn on this cigar?
It was a pretty good burn experience. You know, one of the things that I noted was, weirdly enough, it seemed like a pretty firm cigar, not overly firm. You know, I'm not talking like brick or anything, but you know, it's a firm cigar, but it had a little give to it. What's interesting is that as I smoke it, I got a real consistent burn on it, which was nice. And the resistance on the draw was just enough that I felt like I was getting good smoke production out of it, you know? Like it was like a 2-3 puffer, and I got great smoke production from it. What was interesting is that, I don't know if this happened with you, but like the ash almost kind of was poofy. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know, I've seen ash that's really dense in it, and it kind of is very compressed and very rigid almost, and it's like you could shake that fucking thing for minutes and nothing comes off, right? We've had those all we've all had those cigars, right, people? And then we've had the others where it like blossoms like a flower. It's like the fillers are so loose in it that it just kind of like starts to look like a fucking palm tree eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just kind of curls over and then it just falls off real easy. This one was like an in between of that, and I can't really recall a time where I've experienced that. It's kind of usually one or the other, but for some reason, this one had like a puffiness to it. I don't know how else to describe it. Um, it stayed on there, but it was easy to knock off. Should I give it a little bit of a good shake? But it was like I was a little dumbfounded by it, and I'm not sure what to make of it. I just felt it was an anomaly, and I don't know how to I don't know how to put it any better than that. But I thought the burn experience was great. Whole test, no problems with that. 5 minutes, took a break, great. But
Nice.
um, I thought it was good. That was good.
Yeah, same. Easy draw, good resistance on the cigar itself, which isn't surprising. This comes from the William Ventura factory in Dominican. So usually when it comes to like things like construction and then consistency around the burns, usually some of the better cigars that I think you can smoke. And so that was obviously replicated in this particular cigar. So draw resistance, great, good smoke production. What I thought was really awesome. And I love this. I don't know if it's because of my OCD brain, but I love a perfect burn line on a cigar. I love like it just literally burns straight down very evenly. Like I don't know, there's something about the symmetry of it in my head where I go, God, that's fucking awesome. And that was this cigar. I actually smoked a couple cigars recently, just burned so well, like consistency wise, just fucking perfect. That was one of those cigars. Like this cigar just burned so evenly all the way down. Incredible consistency. So very good on the burn overall. Chris,
Yeah, man.
arguably the most important piece of how we review. What did you think? What did you think? What did you think about the flavors of this particular cigar?
I think a better question to ask is how did Christopher Columbus feel going from the Eastern Hemisphere to the Western? Imagine a lot of changes, right? A lot of cultural changes, new sceneries, new things to experience that never been experienced before, right? Challenges, all sorts of things, all mannerisms of things, right? Wouldn't you say that? Probably, right? My experience with the flavors was much like Christopher Columbus. I got to experience a lot in a very short period of time, more so than Christopher Columbus. Um, the best way I can describe this cigar was it started off like I was having like a I was having dessert before I actually had the entree because it started off really smooth and creamy like from the get-go, like on a cold draw just lit. There was so much creaminess to it and smoothness coming off the foot of the cigar when it was just lit. I was like, dang, I don't really get any spice. None of that yet. Like, none of it. But little by little, waiter comes out, hands you a fucking cheesecake. Here you go. It's like, I thought I was getting an appetizer first. No, no, no. Here at Wally's, you have dessert first. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, I'll eat the cheesecake then. And then when they pull that plate away, they hand me a steak. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What was cool about the cigar is that it seems so reverse to a lot of cigars that I've had from a flavor profile. Like you usually start off with spice first, and then it transitions into smoothing out and creaminess. This one started off in the opposite direction. It started off creamy and, you know, kind of went from sweet bitter notes, literally no spice for me in the very beginning. And then about 10% in, it transitioned to this like savory woodiness, kind of. But what I there was another flavor characteristic that it was hard for me to pinpoint at first, but I think what I was getting was kind of more like floral and just like some interesting aromatics from it. And then as I keep going, it gets like spicier and more woody and more bitter. And it was crazy to see that transition to like these three different styles happen in a little short Corona that took me about an hour to smoke. And it really did give me a full palette of a fucking flavor with a lot of transitions. I didn't know what to think at first, other than it made me happy. It made me happy.
That's good. That's what the experience is all about, right?
Yeah, I really like the flavors. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's certainly nothing like pepper wise or anything like that. There's nothing overwhelming about anything in this cigar in terms of like that upfront impact. It's pretty fucking smooth. Like I wouldn't call this a cigar that's going to be one that's going to like knock your socks off or is going to put too much on the palate at one time. I do agree in terms of like it's a pretty slow introduction into things. But what I liked about like my favorite part about the cigar is the same thing that I think you liked about it, and that's like the constant change ups. It's the constant like reintroduction of flavors. To me, it had an element of that like baking spice component, which I really enjoy. Like one of my favorite things in a cigar. It's very creamy, lots of wood, sweet. It had like an herbal sense to it, which I thought was really good. So there's certain things, I think, expressions of flavors in this cigar that I haven't personally had in a while in the way that it's represented in this cigar. So the change up for me was not only interesting but wanted. Like it was very good. I feel like just recently I've been smoking a lot of cigars where it's like they're heavy in certain things. They're very earthy. They may have some of that like cocoa to it, which is a little bit of that sweet, like bold and bitter flavor. And this to me like wasn't that at all. Like it was completely different, completely opposite of things that I've been smoking recently, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. What I thought was, to me personally, incredible about this cigar is what flavors come out when you retrohale it. And this is a very easy cigar to retrohale. There's going to be no issues for you if you are accustomed to retrohaling a cigar, and even if you're not, I would say it's a good one to start with. The flavors brighten up to such a high degree, like that woodiness that I really like about this cigar, and just this combination of with cream. It's just like there's this smooth, but it's just this a great fill in your face all at one time. Just amazing flavors. My only gripe is that I could only smoke it in a Corona, right? At this point for this particular review, because it's one of those cigars that I really like the flavor combination so much. I wish it was more long lasting, which there's different Vitolas. So, hey, the good news is you smoke a bigger one.
Yeah.
That's what you do. But I really, really like the reintroduction of this cigar. And I know it's different than obviously what was released back in 2016. I can't really remember and reflect on too much of what my experience was when I smoked the original. What I can say now is whatever that was, this is better. It's got to be better. This is a very, very good cigar. And not only a good cigar, it's one that I was like, holy shit, I could smoke this all the time, because just the flavors that come out, like again, that like baking spice component, which is a little bit subtle in the cigar, and then it does kind of have this interesting herbalness to it. Like those things combined together, it was like, well, that was like made for me. Those are the things that I love in a cigar that have kind of taken me away. This particular instance took me away from all this other stuff that I've smoked recently that I don't want to say is the same, but from a flavor perspective, they kind of trample over one another, right? Sometimes it's hard to distinguish one from another because they're more similar than they're not. This thing is not similar to those at all. This cigar is very not similar to things that I've smoked recently. I couldn't call this cigar out in terms of like, oh, it really reminds me of this.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist, which is great. I love that aspect of the cigar. So I think the reintroduction of this in 2021 was awesome. I really, really like the flavors in the cigar. I anticipate this will likely be one of the hottest releases just in the beginning of this year. is good timing on Danny's part to get this out. I think when he did right before the summertime, get it on the shelves, just create some hype around it a little bit. And I think that hype is warranted. I was very much wanting to not be disappointed in this cigar because obviously I'm a fan of Danny and everything he does. But I went into it like, well, let's see what happens. It's been a while, Danny boy. It's been 4 years. And I was pleasantly surprised to the point where I actually texted him. I'm like, dude, this thing is fucking great. Like, this is an objectively really good cigar. And I think in this Vitola, I just love it even more. I just wish I had two that I could like smoke back to back. I didn't. But yeah, I thought it was really awesome. And retrohale the fuck out of this thing because if you do, you're really gonna like the flavors that it imparts.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Let's get into pricing bonus or delta. Now that we know this thing costs $8.30 at retail, also understanding it's a bit of a smaller Vitola. Is it worth it? Is it worth that price?
Yeah, I think it is, and then some a little. It's such a unique experience that if you're like a connoisseur of cigar smoking, that you want to try your hands at something new that is different than what you typically see on shelves. There's a uniqueness factor to this that I think warrants a little bit of a price hike that you could probably get away with charging a little bit more. I think it's a good entry point for a new brand. I think the price is good as a new brand on the market. However, if I was stripping that away and looking objectively, or I should say subjectively, I guess, at just the cigar itself based on the experience, I feel like it's worth a little bit more. So I gave it a little bonus.
Oh, nice. I think it's appropriate, and that's only because it's a smaller Vitola, right? I think you do somewhat tether a line with Corona, even though you could argue that Louisiana is a perfect example of an organization that will create a Corona and price it out higher than they would the Toro because the Corona is the one you want to smoke. Corona is the one that imparts the best flavors, the best experience, right? So there's like that weird aspect to it too. But if I'm just thinking component wise, size, whatever, um, entry into the marketplace, I would say it's for a Corona size and a reintroduction into the marketplace, it's very appropriate. Like to me, it seems it's hit the mark. Now, if this was sub $8, we're in like let's say the $760, $770 range, or like even $750. I would start to agree. I would agree with you in terms of like, wow, that's a really fucking good value for this cigar. Or if it was 830 and like a Robusto, maybe like a 5x52 or something like that. And I'm just saying size alone, but I'm just talking about materials itself, not smokability or anything like that. Then I would say, yeah, that 830 is like, boom, nailed the price. But for what you get in the cigar, I'm close with you in terms of like, yeah, it's more than worth it. But I think just given what it is, the amount of tobacco used, I think the $830 price point is just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think it hit the money, literally. So that being said, Chris, let's get into overall score on this cigar.
Sure. 10 out of 10 on construction for me. Great construction. 20 out of 20 on burn. Near zero issues with mine. Flavors 25.5 out of 30 with a 1% bonus for the price. Thought it was worth a little bit more. That's just how I feel. Came out at 93.5% for me.
Ooh. Damn. Construction 10 out of 10. Again, love the Vitola. It's made really well, superbly. Burn, same. No issues, no challenges. Love the consistent burn line on the cigars, 20 out of 20. Flavors I thought were pretty incredible just in the combinations themselves. Again, just smoking this early and often in terms of retrohaling. It's an easy cigar to do it. And again, your nostrils will thank you later. I gave it a 26 out of 30, which gave me a 93.3. And that gives us an average of, I don't know how to do math.
93.4.
I think it's going to be a 93.4. It is a 93.4. And which we will not round up. We will round down to a 93. If it was 93.6, it'd be up to a 94, which would be a very, very highly. I mean, that would be the highest rating I think we've given a cigar thus far this year.
Sounds like a great low FM radio station.
93.6. Easy jazz. Yeah, that's I'm kind of looking through the ratings right now, and it's close to the top. It's not at the top, but it's close to the top. And dude, I think this cigar is really fucking awesome. I love the reintroduction, and I knew whatever came out of the William Ventura factory was going to be good. So like, Danny knows what the fuck he's doing. So, and they actually released two really incredible cigars last year, and I always said like Adventura is kind of like the hidden gem cigars. Like there were certain things that had been put out in the marketplace that if you knew about it, you loved them and you were all about them, but they were kind of these best kept secrets. And then two releases last year that were pretty fucking incredible. So the fact that like this cigar came out, it was one of those things where it's like, it's kind of a can't miss. Like if you miss, feel like you were doing something wrong. Thought the cigar was awesome. Can't wait to smoke. I've got 2 more samples left and I will definitely be smoking them very, very shortly. Thought the cigar was awesome. Great job, Danny. Perfect reintroduction into the marketplace. All right. Let's do some Chris questions.
Oh shit. Okay.
Segment back.
I thought you were pulling an Angelina Jolie and just like putting that like dead space in her podcast, and people going, wait, did the fucking podcast episode end or like stop or something? And you checking your radio.
Nope. Question number 1. We'll just do a couple because I'm tired. I'm probably gonna go back to sleep. Have you ever been electrocuted?
Yes.
How did it happen?
Twice.
How did
First one, I was living in Mom's house when we were younger, and I had just recently rinsed my hands under the faucet and went to notice that I needed to use the disposal unit in the sink, and went to go grab or flip up the disposal
that
switch,
thing's fucked up,
and shocked myself so hard I dropped to my knees in front of the sink, and my whole hand was like tingling and like burning up the sides of my hand all the way up my arm.
Yeah, electricity will get you.
That was the first one. The second one is you were there to witness it. We had the condo.
The lightning strike.
And the lightning strike struck our condo so badly that it had created so much static charge in the air when it struck that lightning came from my laptop and shocked the shit out of my hand. It
fried your laptop, fried my computer, burned out the TV.
Burned out the TV HDMI cables. Like there's 2 scorch marks up the HDMI.
Everything was like scorched. Yeah. Dude, it fucking killed like 4 different things on the that was wild. That was wild. I just remember you being in the living room and you're like, ah! I was like, oh, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
That was wild. Yeah. That was pretty crazy. I can't believe you've only been shocked or electrocuted twice. I've been electrocuted probably at least 10 times.
I mean, I've been shocked and touched electricity in many different forms, but never to the point where it was like so memorable like those 2 were.
I've had some real close calls. What color annoys you when you see it?
What does what?
What color
annoys
you when you see it?
Oh, okay. I think you said color noise, and I was like, what the fuck is a color noise?
What is color noise?
Annoys me when I see it.
Mm-hmm. Why are you looking around your room?
I'm trying to look at something that I don't like.
I like how you're looking around your room for everything that you've selected in terms of like furniture. Trying to figure out what you purchased that you don't like.
You know what? I don't like the color peach.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
What do you got against peach?
Nothing. Don't you dare do it.
What's wrong with peach?
I don't know. It's just not a flattering color to me. It looks good on Beach Boys and
Hmm.
little children. But for some reason, Peach does not flatter me in the slightest. It feels too old.
Oh, interesting.
And
Yeah,
I'm
it does have that old feel too.
and I'm thinking any color now that it is used in a wallpaper of sorts in a house.
Yeah, peach is definitely one of those. I agree with you.
Yeah, not flattering for me.
For sure. I'm with you on that one. Last question. Who's your favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero. He's always been at the top of my list. I drew him for years growing up, had action figures of him. It has been without a doubt Gambit from X-Men.
Hmm. Forgot that you liked him so much. Yeah.
Remy LePew.
How in the fuck did Gambit not really get his day ever?
I know.
Like, how does Gambit not have his own movie?
They were talking about making
Like, they
his own movie.
featured Cable in a fucking movie and not Gambit. Gambit was barely small ass fucking part. Was he in the Logan movie? Is it
He was
Logan?
in one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, small part. Like, not really that meaningful and not that cool.
Yeah, and
How's he not been featured?
he's really supposed to be a cool character.
He's supposed to be like the coolest character. Like, he's like the kind of like outlaw X-Men that you want, that you kind of like, yeah, that's the cool guy.
Charismatic, a little bit of a southern Frenchy type of fucking accent.
Yeah, so weird. He should be featured more. All right, let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
Do me a favor.
Yeah. Check out our sponsor, My Cigar Pack. Visit mycigarpack.com.
Yeah, I will say that our promo code is not going to be active this month. So next month, meaning May, you can use our promo code again. But for this month, you cannot.
In May, you may.
In May, you may. So yeah, like Chris said, visit mycigarpack.com. I haven't got the new pack yet. It actually may even be here today. So I'm interested to see what's in this month's, and then to also check out the factory direct stuff. So you can check all that out. Again, www.mycigarpack.com. You can visit our website, www.hotticketweekly.com. Put up a new review this week. Can't remember what it was. Oh, it was the Room 101 Doomsayer Passive. So you can check out that review now on our website.
I love it.
There you go. Yeah. Still trying to get reviews up. It's been interesting and challenging, but we got to plow through. So, all right, let's end this. Saturday morning, I'm exhausted, and we got to go to a 90-year-old's birthday party later.
I know.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? What's the worst thing that can happen at a 90-year-old's birthday party?
Someone dies.
Same. Yeah, agreed. Yep. You want to bet on it?
Sure.
No. The answer is no. No. Our grandma's 90. She'd be in the mix.
I'm not. Well, true.
Although it is a surprise birthday party, you better be fucking careful.
Yeah.
Surprise her too much, you're gonna fucking give her a heart attack.
That's
terrible.
true.
Yeah, but yeah, we got that going on today, so that'll be interesting. All right, let's conclude the episode. This will conclude episode 194. We'll be back at you next week with episode 195. See you, everyone.
See ya.